Al, I know when you guys came here and put this new defense together, you weren't necessarily harping on what happened last year, but you did have a lot of players that Ryan said several times felt, a little salty about how they played last year. I'm just wondering how you go about maybe harvesting that mentality without focusing so much on sort of the schematics of what happened last year.
You just, every day, you take the field, you got a purpose. I think every day every day you go to work, you should have the goal to do it better than the day before. And so when you look at last year for each player, I think we approach it every day like we've got to improve, we've got to do what we know we can do mentality. So I think that's their mindset. That's our mindset. It's been that since day one, and it's our mindset going into this week.
I know typically when something's new, people get excited about it and they're excited about what it can become. Obviously, you guys are playing well, but there seemed to be almost immediate buy-in to what you all as coaches were preaching to these players. And just wondering from your perspective why maybe you think that was the case.
Well, I think it starts with Coach Madison and Coach Hafley, to be honest. I think they outlined a clear plan. And I think as a player, the plan that we outlined, I think really competitive guys get excited about it. And I think that's the major reason, to be honest with you. I think it's linebackers, D-line. I mean, Coach Johnson, what he's done from his time here and what he's doing this year is incredible. But I think the back end buy-in, the whole defense buys into the message, and they have. So if you were to ask me where does the credit go, I think it starts with those two, to be honest.
Front row right, Tim from Lettermen Row.
Yeah, Al, watching Pete Werner this year compared to last year, it seems like he's not only firing, he's almost got a hair trigger in recognition. What are you noticing about his game just as this season is developing?
Well, the best play was the short yardage play. They hadn't run that play. They hadn't run in 2 years. It was a really good play. It was under center, quarterback reverse pivoted. They ran an outside zone scheme, pin pull, of which they had the numerical advantage. And Pete, that play, not only did he support the run and hard joint the block, he made the play on the tackle and knocked the guy back. Because, I mean, you would think like that play, you could fall and get a yard. So, in credit Coach Madison, again, man, like, I think you just said the key thing was they anticipate. I think his wisdom in terms of being able to see an offense and kind of see what they're trying to do based on what their formation is helps a lot. And I think when guys know what's coming, they play faster.
In other words, you can see he played last year too, in that, right? I mean, is it what you're reaping the benefit of?
I think so, but I think a lot has to go into what you just said. I think the guys anticipate what's coming. But again, you take that play. They hadn't shown that. But you're hardwired, man. You play hard, and it worked out. That was a huge play.
Well, the quick thing, did they the snooker play where they got y'all for the one touchdown?
Oh yeah.
Was that y'all seen a steady diet of wide screens for all year?
Yeah.
Was that just a play off that? And what do you reinforce with like Tough and the defense going forward?
Yeah, well, that play there. I mean, that was at that part of the field. That's where they show their tricks and their shots and. It was a good fake. I mean, hell, we were aggressive. They played on that and just got the ball off. If you watch that clip, we had a guy close, and he threw it. And so, I mean, I guess when you're aggressive like that, those things happen, and a consistent, we can't consistently obviously give those up, but, we're not going to lose our stinger, and, challenge our guys to, just everybody be sound, do their job as best they can, and we'll correct the mistakes as we go. But we didn't. After that play, we got back and we just said, all right, guys, here's what happened. If it happens again, this is what we do, and let's move on. Keep playing.
Front row right, Austin from Lettermen Row.
Hal, I know you've got these questions a lot about last year and the improvement, but you can only go back to March, January to see the improvement. Is there a different sense of confidence or aggression or anything else in your room since you first got here?
Yeah, I mean, I think our guys are starting to feel more confident, but our focus is on what we need to improve on. And so, I think our guys are really focused on, cleaning up the little things that need to be cleaned up because as the year goes, this opponent we have coming up this week, I mean, we're going to give everybody's best shot. And so the whole goal is at the end of the year you playing your best football. The only way you do that is you incrementally get better and you focus on what you need to improve on. So I think our guys are feeling confident, but they also, like today's practice is going to be you ain't going to feel good. You got new plays in, you're going against a new opponent, and we're physically going to challenge them, and emotionally they got to be into it. So I think they feel confident, but they the work that needs to be done. I think that's their focus.
When you talk about some of those little things, what are you emphasizing with them at this point?
Just stance, eyes, just for me, hand placement, all these little things that when you play really, really good teams and really good players, just think on one-on-one, you're going against someone who has equal talent or better talent. Your technique's going to be the equalizer. And I think as players, that's why the little things, like when Coach Hafley talks about your footwork has to be accurate so you don't lose a step. Coach Johnson talks about his hand placement so that you can get inside leverage, so you can get off the block that much sooner to make the play. All that little stuff is what we have got to attack, and that's what our focus is. So those are, for example, some things that we focus on.
Front row left, Nathan from Cleveland.com.
Baron Browning had said that the kind of the relationship you guys developed early on has been the reason why he's started the year so well. Just how did you try to reach him early on, and what worked there?
Well, the reason why Baron is having success is because he's worked really hard, and he's talented, but he worked. And I think we do have a good relationship. It's honest. He has a relationship with my wife, my kids. I think all that stuff's important whenever you're working with somebody. But to answer your question, how did I reach? I mean, he's a good kid, man. I mean, he wants to do well. I think our relationship is honest. We don't play the PC. I mean, if something's not right, it's not right. And if something's right, we talk about it and we build on it. So, and through that process, I think we've grown closer. But I think that's a big reason why. I think when you deal with people and they're honest with you, you don't have to worry about. There's no, you know what I mean. There's nothing ambiguous, man. Everything's clear. And if you want to do well, this is what you need to do. You go about the business of doing it. So credit Baron for his success. But he's still got a lot of things to improve on. And I know he would, if he was in here now, he'd say the same thing. So that's what our focus is.
He's playing with a lot more confidence this year, I guess, kind of what you're talking about, too. Mm-hmm. Some of that, I assume, probably just comes from getting on the field more, playing more, and doing things. But did you feel like you had to help kind of instill that? Like, did he come into this offseason with still a belief in how good he could be?
Yeah, I think when I first met him, I think he had a sense of how good he could be. I mean, he was a highly recruited kid. I think that you said the word instill. I don't instill anything. All I do is if you have a spark, then I'm gonna pour gas on it, and hopefully it turns into a blaze. I think that's what all coaches do. And so like he has a spark, and then I just we go about the business of trying to create a blaze, man, a fire, and so I think it was always there though. I think it was always there. I think it's still there now. So. I think that's confidence comes from that, for sure.
Front row right, Bill from the Dispatch.
Malik Harrison's one of these guys that, as well as he's played, he's still somehow is under the radar. What are your impressions of just how good a player he is and what makes him special?
Well, I think Malik has a chance to be one of the best in the country. I think what's and I'll tell him that, there's no keep a guy. I'm honest. I think he has the ability, but you got to exercise that ability every day. And so, like you said, he's under the radar. I really can't speak to that, but I do know that he, every game he's in there, he's got to make his play, speak for itself. He has to give that much effort, and really it just comes down to effort. And he's done that. He's given great effort. And I think if he does that, everything else will take care of itself. I think he's very talented. I think he's very bright. I think he's very capable of doing a lot of different things. We had him playing, backer. We had him playing at the line of scrimmage a couple times. I mean, he can do a lot of different things. So real excited and real excited about where Malik is trending.
One more question about Pete Werner.
Yeah.
There was a game against was it UC where he played as a deep safety.
Yeah.
Play. Can you explain just how versatile he is and why you have the confidence in him to use him in that kind of role?
He's very athletic and very smart and highly accountable. So I think with any of those guys like that, man, they can do those things because they're gonna do their job, and he has the skill set to do that. I mean, I wouldn't say that he'll have a steady diet of it, but he's good enough to do that, especially on that particular play that we had. He did a heck of a job at it. So, I think he's very talented, but he's very accountable.
And final questions, front row left, Doug.
Barron and Tuff have played fairly equal snaps so far this year. What have you thought of how you guys have managed sort of that balance with those two guys, and how do you think maybe they complement each other playing?
Yeah, I think, you know what, I think we've done a really good job of that because I think, the one thing you see like on tape when you watch us, at least when I watch, is you see guys run into the ball, man, from the front to the back. I think the way you rotate guys, you kind of preserve some of that extra fire. And so, like, you look at a guy like Barron, he's explosive. He has a motor. I think he's able to play at a high level longer. And then same with Tuff. So I think we've done a good job of that. I think they play off each other well. Tuff and Barron have both played, multiple spots in what we're doing. But I think we've handled that pretty well. And, again, every week it's its own challenge. But I think both guys physically are at a place they hadn't been in years past because of that. And, the ego shrinks. I think it's about team. And when the next guy's in, they're looking for feedback. Every time we come off the field, they're talking to each other. Oh, what'd you see? This is what I saw. And then next time they go, they play on that. So it's a really good deal. And they're competing too,
And Tuff is a guy, he's a two-year captain. We know how much of a leader he is for this team. But he's not playing every single snap. He is out there a lot in important snaps, but he's not out there all the time. Is that, he seems so important to you the way you guys talk about him
he's
for
critical.
the heart of the defense.
Yeah.
What's the conversation like with him? Just, you're not going to be out there every snap, but you're still a leader for us.
Just that. Just what you just said. And explain to him, here's why. Because we want to see you play at the highest level, and it's a long year. So there's no ego in him. I think he understands his role. And I think any leader, like we think about leadership, you have to be seen, but you also have to be heard and felt. You don't need to necessarily be in the arena to do those two things. So even though he's not out there, he still is being heard. He still is being felt because of his ability to engage. So I think that is, to answer your question, how do you lead when you don't play it? And he is playing quite a bit. That's how you do it. And I think he's embraced that and has done a great job, man. Really has.
Coach, thank you very much.
Yeah. Yep, no problem. Don't forget your coffee. Don't regret